welcome to the January 2026 edition of the Wicked Redeemed podcast, where we explore the intersection of the ancient Christian faith and present-day culture. Our very specific niche with an equally specific New England flavor.
Flavor.
Think less megachurch and more coffee that's been sitting on the burner since 6 a.m. I am Matt Wigton, and I'm joined once again by my co-host, Shayna Stoll.
Welcome back, everyone, and Happy New Year. If you're still writing 2025 on your checks, first of all, why? Why are you writing checks? And second, welcome, because you're among friends. Today, we are really excited to welcome Rockport Select Board Chairman, Paul Murphy. He's almost a townie, but in reality, a lifelong resident of our small coastal town in Eastern Mass. And for those curious about what technically qualifies someone as a townie, please refer back to episodes 1 and 2 because there will be.
It's a very, very controversial topic.
Mm-hmm.
It's still evolving what it actually means.
Definitely.
There'll be a quiz, that's right. But as we kick off the new year, we are launching our 5th episode, which feels like a small miracle in terms of podcasting terms. We are incredibly grateful for the thoughtful conversations that we've had thus far and for everyone who has listened or watched on YouTube. Those who have shared, or maybe even those of you who have actually accidentally downloaded our podcast and are trying to find something else. We're glad you're here too. If you're new here, we strongly encourage you to go back and listen to our first episode, because in that first episode, we sort of explained the purpose of the podcast, where we're going, and a little bit about our own respective backgrounds and how that shapes where we're going in the podcast.
Yes. And so there's no denying that we are living in some challenging times, right? But at the core of the Christian faith is this light, and the light is Jesus. And he's entered into the darkness. So because of that, redemption isn't just a theory, it's actually happening. So our hope is that in this little corner of New England, and more specifically, our small coastal town, we can offer a few snapshots of that light and help spark deeper conversation on Christianity, culture, and place.
Now, Shayna, since it is a new year, I feel obligated to ask you, do you have any New Year's resolutions? Also, our listeners may not know that in addition to being a wonderful mother to 3 young children, you are also, how should I put this? You are a caretaker of poultry. You are a chicken mom, a hen manager. So please tell us a little bit about your chickens and your plans for them this year, and whether or not they've set any resolutions of their own.
I would be delighted. I do have a few chickens. I feel like I am a foul player. I think that's Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, I get mom joke. I do, yes. Okay, so I have a few chickens. Their resolutions had better be to keep laying those eggs, because I had a couple broody hens and they finally started laying, praise God. But they got to keep that up. But I have one. So Henny and Dolly are my mega layers right now, and we're just waiting for Rebecca to start laying. Rebecca, yeah, we call her Pecky. She's not quite there yet, but she's getting close. So that's theirs. My personal resolution has been to give up my absolute love affair with my peanut butter cookies that I make, because I have the best peanut butter cookie recipe on the planet.
Now, Shayna, this is like we're filming this on a Friday afternoon. It would have been a perfect time for you to brought your peanut butter cookies for Paul and I.
I will persevere through the shadow of the valley of the peanut butter cookie, and I am not eating any, and I haven't eaten any, and I have to keep, persevering. So
good job for you.
All right, Matt, what about you? What's your resolution? And for those watching at home, Matt has started the new year with a new aesthetic.
That's right.
From the nose down.
I have entered 2026 with a beard. Now, I realize that for me, this is a little wild. It's a little shocking to some of our listeners. Now, I do this like every 5 years. And when I do it for a few months, I kind of feel more biblical.
It's like your year of Jubilee?
More like Jesus. Something like that, yeah. And I also do it to take how much inventory on how much gray hair has shown up since the last time.
How you doing this time?
I'm so far good, I think, because the beard tells no lies.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah. Well, when I grow a beard, I look like Santa Claus. And I do it about every 5 years.
It's a guy thing.
Yeah. Well, looking ahead, I'm really grateful as well, Shayna, that part of my coming up year is that I'll be for the first time, taking a 13-week sabbatical in the late spring and early summer. This is thanks to a generous grant from the Lilly Foundation. And my family and I will be doing some traveling. And so we're hoping that it'll be a time both for the church and our family to kind of pause and rest and reset. So that's kind of part of what one of our New Year's resolutions is. Now, to be honest, resting is not something that I'm naturally gifted at. I am much more what we might call good at productive exhaustion. So this is, I think, hopefully going to be a great growth opportunity, and we should have an episode in the future. Why both for pastors and so many in our community, it is a hard thing to rest. Many of us are bad at resting. That's a good topic to talk about more. Maybe I'll learn something on the sabbatical. Hopefully, we'll see. Now, some folks get nervous when they hear about the pastor being gone, pastor on sabbatical. But I'm actually excited for this season because I think it will be good for the church to have a break from me. Some might be saying hallelujah.
Yeah.
But the good thing is we have an incredible team of volunteers who will be stepping up and staff, including yourself, Shayna. You'll be having an expanded role. So I should turn the question back on you. And how are you feeling about this expanded role in serving and leading in the church? And then on top of that, what would your younger self think about you having such a prominent role in leading a church?
Oh, wow. Well, I don't think she would believe you no matter how much money you paid her or whatever.
Chickens I gave her.
Yeah, however many chickens. But it is a privilege to be part of an incredible core that we call the sabbatical team. And there's certainly a lot of planning before you leave, which is helping to ease that anxiety. But we built that awesome sabbatical team, and they are working hard to plan for as much as we can, really. Knowing we can't be fully ready, but having a plan and support system for the congregation is hugely helpful. Sunday morning services will continue as they do now, but while you're gone, we have a collection of 10 to 12 different preachers. One will visit each week. So instead of hiring a single sabbatical pastor, we, as a church, decided that it would benefit us to have a core group from our congregation leading us, and guest pastors hold a lesser role. I am looking forward to how we can grow together as a church family without you. You're very good at keeping the drama low and the peace high, which is something that I am nervous about not having. But you're also wonderful at doing laundry. So I'm worried about the tablecloth situation here because there's a lot of them and they're not small.
Yeah, like we said, it'll be good break and training for everybody. Now, while we are still early in the year, we as a church are also moving full steam ahead, planning upcoming events, which is very on brand for our church life as part of this community.
Yes, and I am so excited about what's ahead. I have already purchased some very specific and not excessive.
Possibly excessive.
No, supplies for VBS, which is our children's summer program that runs in July. But it's never too early.
And we should just interrupt here because Shayna was actually very excited to hear. We were expecting an Amazon delivery today. It actually may happen during the podcast. And it is her helmet for our summer show. It's like this sequiny.
It's not sequins, Matt.
What is this?
It's so much cooler. It's a mirror ball helmet. Like you could actually wear it on a bicycle.
Wow.
The theme this year is Jesus is the light of the world. So it's a very shiny and reflective, so much cooler than sequins, and it should have been here already, and I can't wait to show you guys.
So that's going to build suspense for our next episode. The listeners can come back and see the mirror ball helmet.
It's true.
Wow.
And we're planning for Easter. We just finished putting away our last Christmas bin. I just put the Christmas lights away. But yeah, we're moving ahead.
That's right. And here on the podcast, we also have a lot coming up as well. We are looking forward to more engaging guests, more thoughtful conversation from different perspectives on topics that really matter, and especially exploring more the concept of navigating faith in everyday life here in New England. And also, we are excited that we are likely going to have our premiere episode for season 2 in September at a different location. We're going to have our first traveling episode somewhere in a famous city outside of New England. We know where it is,
I'm so
but we're not
excited.
going to tell our listeners yet. But building suspense
I'm
for
gonna
that
bring my
special
helmet.
on-location episode.
Ray Sparkly helmet
in
to that.
Yeah, that would fit in that place we're
I
going.
can't wait.
Yeah, in September.
Yes. So we would love to hear your ideas for topics and guests. If there is anything that you've been wondering about at the intersection of Christianity and culture, or if you've been arguing at the dinner table, send it our way.
That's right. And be sure to also follow us on social media and to share our podcast with others, because nothing beats sharing information and the power of word of mouth.
It's true. All right. Now, we are excited to turn our attention to today's guest,
The big moment.
Paul Murphy. Hi, Paul.
Well, it's great to be here.
Yay! So Paul brings a wealth of experience as a lifelong public official, public education administrator, community member, husband to Mary Beth, and father of 3 grown children. I recently had the chance to get to know Paul through coordinating the town's Christmas pageant, which is one of those charming old school traditions that somehow still exists in New England.
It does. 80 years.
Yes, 80 years. It's pretty amazing, though, to watch the supposedly godless New England like gather every year on the front lawn of the Congregational Church, and we retell the Nativity story.
Right.
That's right. And Paul and I have had the opportunity to participate in a number of different community events here in the town. But one of my favorites is the town's Memorial Day parade. And what usually happens is the clergy march right behind the selectmen. So it's in the front of the parade, but it's more than that. It's this wonderful bringing together of the town's leaders, of veterans, of school children, of all sorts of other people in a tradition that's been going on for decades, if not centuries. And it's this beautiful and yet somber time where we really come together to remember our past, and particularly those who have fallen. And I think it's one of those days that really shows us why small towns are so wonderful and why they're so why they matter.
Yeah.
So Paul, it truly is an honor to have you with us today. You bring deep experience, you bring real love and knowledge for our community and region, and I think a thoughtful appreciation for history and faith. In addition to everything else, low on Paul's resume is that he happens to also be my neighbor. And so I'm not sure if he likes that or not, but in the summer.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. So we like you being your neighbor as well. And so we can usually tell how especially in the summer, how the Boston sports teams are doing simply by listening across the fence to whether or not there's some cheering or groaning going on. So I don't have to turn the television on. Thank you, Paul, for that. And Paul, as a small thank you for joining us, we wanted to give you an official Wicked Redeemed decal.
Oh, wonderful.
And a coffee mug.
There
I
you
think
go.
those are within the rules for public officials.
Absolutely.
That's not too
as
much.
long as it's under $50.
This is not a $50 mug or decal, so we're not breaking any rules.
Thank you very much.
So there you go.
Paul, welcome to the show. Let's give him some Wicked Redeemed applause, Matt. Where is our applause?
There we go. There's our applause.
That's it.
All right.
I usually don't hear that.
Well, we
Want a boo? We can get a boo.
That I hear.
He's used to that town meeting. Paul, thanks. We do appreciate, we do value you joining us on today's episode of the Wicked Redeemed podcast. But we have to start off seriously because, as we've mentioned before, actually we did not mention yet in the podcast, you are quite familiar and quite knowledgeable when it comes to good journalism. Your father, who we're going to talk a little bit more about later on in the podcast, your father won a Pulitzer Prize as a reporter for the Boston Globe, and your brother has had a distinguished career following in his footsteps.
He's still at the Globe.
Amazing. So with that said, are you ready? Are you ready, Paul, for the hard-hitting questions here on the Wicked Redeemed podcast? Can you handle
I wouldn't expect
the
anything
heat?
else.
You can handle it.
Yeah,
Are you sure?
absolutely.
Are you
Ready.
sure? Okay.
I'm ready to go.
Oh my goodness. All right, Paul. In your introduction, we mentioned that you are the chair of the Rockport Select Board. So for those not familiar with this New England term, what is a select board and what does it do? It almost sounds like theological, like
It does.
Were you chosen by God?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but the select board sets policy, provides oversight, represents the town, and hires professional management while leaving the daily operations, the day-to-day operations of the town to the town administrator and the people that we hire at town hall.
All right.
So in other places people might think of a city council or something like that.
Very
It's
similar, yeah.
similar to that
Yeah.
concept,
Yeah.
right? Now, recently, Paul, one of your former colleagues announced her intention to run for our region's open seat for state representative. I think that election's happening in a few weeks, if I'm wrong, if I'm right.
March 3rd.
March 3rd, thank you. But do you want to make some news today? You can help blow up the podcast, and we can
No
make some
pressure.
news right now.
No pressure.
Yeah.
Paul, do you have any intention to run for maybe Congress,
No.
governor?
No, I am very content where I am. I think I've reached my political plateau being on the Board of Selectmen. I enjoy being on the Board of Selectmen. I actually announced that I am running for re-election. I wish Sarah Wilkinson well. I think she'd be a terrific state representative. I served alongside her for at least 15 years on the board. She knows the issues of Cape Ann. I think all of Cape Ann, the four communities, Manchester, Essex, Rockport, and Gloucester, would be lucky to have Sarah as a representative. There's no one, she has tremendous integrity, a work ethic, second to none. So I wish her well, and I'll be out campaigning for her.
All right, but last chance. You sure?
No.
You're not compelled right now to join the national level.
Run for Congress?
No,
Never.
nothing.
No.
I imagine your wife's probably happy with that.
She's very happy.
okay. All right.
Very, very happy.
All right. Well,
All right,
well,
you two.
I guess that's news. We did get an answer. Not breaking news, but it's
my
the news.
goodness. All right, let's refocus on our podcast. We know that you and Matt could geek out over politics all day, but I've got to draw you both back in.
I got to tell you, Paul. So we had a discussion the other day before the podcast, and we had some great political discussions. And Shayna said it was kind of like being the third wheel on a date.
It was like that because I was like, okay, there's nothing for me to talk about. They just need me here to break the ice. They just like needed to be best friends and they couldn't. I was there to break the ice. So you're welcome. Their friendship is my gift to you.
This is not an explicitly political podcast.
No.
Maybe we will have another episode in the future.
Yeah,
we can do some
right.
political
Happy to-
analysis.
absolutely.
You know, Tim Russert-esque. Okay, Shannon.
All right.
He was wonderful.
He was
Okay.
BC, Boston guy.
All right. So back
Buffalo,
to
but yeah.
Holy Cross, actually.
Oh,
gosh.
thank
Holy
you.
Cross.
See, we're doing it.
Hey, Paul.
Reel us back in.
Focus. Clearly, you have a wealth of knowledge from here in Rockport and in New England, but can you help us with our ongoing quest to define what makes New England distinct? Or as we like to say, how would you define New England flavor?
Well, I think New England, it's where it all began. You know, when you think about it, out of Bunker Hill, Breeds Hill, Lexington, and Concord, we are a very parochial area, all 6 states. I think it's a very loyal town, loyal district or region, filled with unbelievable opportunities. When you think of education, you think of the medical advancements that have come here, the politics, President Kennedy and President John Quincy Adams. It's just and then you bring in the culture. There's nothing better than New England. The sports. Sorry, Matt. We are professional sports is king here.
Yeah.
Where in other parts, and Matt can certainly attest to that, college football and college sports are huge.
Right.
Here it seems to be the professional sports, but the seasons, the 4 seasons that change. I know people that live in Florida, and when you go down there from New England, they love to talk about what the fall's like up here and how much they miss Christmas and when it's snowing and so forth. So we're not without our issues. We can be a little persnickety, I think, New Englanders, but it's a great region.
It's a loving persnickety.
Yes, exactly.
And I just want to say as a follow-up, it is true that many of the great professional athletes in New England came from the Big Ten.
Yes. Oh, yes.
In fact, I don't want to take credit for Tom Brady, but like we both came to New England about the same time. I'm not saying he copied me, but it was around the same time, and he was, of course.
Did you see him play in college?
No, he was like right before me.
Oh, okay.
But certainly.
So you paved the way for him.
I'm not going to go that far.
Wow.
But I'm just saying, like, it's just was it a coincidence?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But a theme that you've just mentioned, that history thing, right? The history here is so rich, and it's fun to think about. Like, we're celebrating, the 250th birthday of the country coming up this year, and yet, like, everything, most of the things around us, like, pre-existed that. Like we for centuries in some cases. It's remarkable.
It is. When you think about it, I remember I was 11 years old, but at the bicentennial, 1976, and Queen Elizabeth came to Boston.
Wow. That's
and
cool.
They had
Probably a different response to the royals at that time than originally.
Yes. She was welcomed by Kevin White, the mayor of Boston, and Michael Dukakis was the governor, and a big parade downtown Boston. So there was Gerald Ford was president of the United States. He came, and it was again. I remember I was 11 years old, but I remember it quite well.
For sure, what an impactful memory. Now tell Tom. I think I was almost called you Tom Brady. He was on my mind. So not a bad mistake.
No, that's a good compliment. I'll take it.
Paul, from our prior discussions, we know that you sort of identify as a practicing Catholic, like many in our region. So would you mind sharing with us kind of what that means to you? And then also from your perspective, how have you seen the Catholic Church influence New England over the last century, or at least over your lifetime? And then how maybe have you seen that influence change, particularly in the 21st century, like the last 20 years?
I think to be a Catholic is, at its core, to belong to a Christian community that traces itself to Jesus Christ through the apostles, with a shared faith, sacramental life, and moral teaching, and a global church led by Pope Leo. But Catholicism is not only a set of beliefs, it's a lived tradition, shaped by worship, culture, and service. Now, the sexual abuse crisis that happened 20 years ago profoundly changed the Catholic Church. It led to many Catholics to question authority, demand transparency, and distinguish more clearly between faith in God and the trust in the church. The church leadership. For many, being Catholic now includes a sense of sorrow and accountability and reform. So when we spoke about the Boston Globe, that was, they won a Pulitzer for it, and they should have won a Pulitzer, but it had worldwide implications, and it was just a terrible, terrible situation that happened, and I don't think anything will ever come close to happening like that again, because now we have all kinds of safety nets involved, and it didn't. The church certainly was at fault, but there were other groups of that were involved. They just trusted people. And now you have to be quarried. There are all kinds of safety nets in that, which I think is great.
Yeah, so it's a horrible situation, but it's led to some good reforms that have sort of gone outside the Catholic Church and influenced culture in general as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, you did sort of touch on it in this your last answer, but so. Last month, we did interview Father Jürgen Lias on the show, and many of our listeners were not entirely satisfied with his response to the abuse scandal, and particularly the suggestion that many people have moved on from that. How would you respond?
No, I don't think people have moved on at all. I think it was an awful situation in which bishops and cardinals were passing on pedophile priests and protecting the church over children, and that was wrong. And I think that the church has not moved on. I think that the current leadership is very cognizant of what's going on, and they've done a great job, in my opinion, of bringing people back together. But it's going to take a while. It's 20 years, and there was a lot of settlements, cost a lot of money. A lot of people left the church. I think they're coming back. But the Pope has apologized. The cardinals have apologized. There've been settlements, monetary settlements, which has helped, but it's not the end all.
Right.
But I think it's a work in progress. It's gotten better. I can remember 2002. It was the pews were empty, and things are getting much better. But again, I don't think it'll ever happen again because of the safety nets that are in youth sports, the churches, anywhere there's kids. There are safety nets with quarries
Yeah.
and things of that nature. So,
Yep.
Yeah, it's sort of like an individual when they go through trauma. Like that's always part of who they are. So
Yeah.
like even if you can move through and experience some healing, that always for your whole life will define who you are. So like
Right.
you don't erase it, you acknowledge it, you try to move forward, but it's always there. And
Right.
so I think kind of like our community, even those that are non-Catholic, it's still impacted everybody, and so there's that trauma, and it's had a overwhelming
Right.
impact.
right. And what happened was in 1993, there was a priest in Fall River, Father Porter, who was accused and convicted. And the Globe went in to see if they could get the records released by the Archdiocese of Boston, and the judge ruled against it. 10 years later, there was another priest, Father Gagan, in Waltham, and he was accused and arrested. And the Globe had a new editor at the time, Marty Barron, and Marty Barron said to the lawyers and the editors, "Why don't we go into court?" And they said, "Well, we tried that 10 years ago." And the judge ruled against releasing the documents. And Marty Barron, to his credit, said, "Let's go in. Let's try it again." And they went in, and the judge ruled that the Archdiocese had to release all the records.
Wow.
And that's how it all... And it wasn't a tremendous amount of reporting
Yep.
done. It's just, everything just came. And the movie Spotlight was a pretty good depiction of what happened. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure like any movie, it's a summary, and there's probably a lot
Yeah.
more to the story.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's a great
Yeah.
picture of what happened. Are we right? So your brother, was he involved? Your brother's a reporter now for the Globe. Was he
Right.
involved in some of that?
No,
Okay.
he was at that point. Sean was working on the Big Dig.
Okay.
And that was a huge story.
Another whole
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, so he was on that, but I think he covered that for about 10 years.
We'll have to have a whole other episode on the Big Dig and its relationship to faith and
New
culture.
England
Yeah.
flavor.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're
It
up.
is. Well, obviously, Paul, this is sort of a negative aspect of the church, but maybe what are some positive examples of the way that you have seen either the Catholic Church or other local churches working together or having a positive impact on either Rockport or the larger New England community as a whole?
Well, I think our community, people of many faiths, are united by a common commitment to care for one another. While our traditions may differ, we share a belief in human dignity, compassion, service, and the responsibility for a place that we call home. By working together with respect and goodwill, our faith communities strengthen not only one another, but the common good for the entire town of Rockwood. So I think
Yeah.
they work all together.
Yeah.
Okay, so Paul, as we mentioned earlier, your father interviewed both Billy Graham and Martin Luther King Jr., among many others, but two figures of particular importance to our congregation
Sure.
and community. Can you tell us a little bit about those
Sure,
conversations
sure.
and how they're relevant today?
And I don't want to.
Oh, dear.
That's a really important question.
It
But
is.
I want to highlight that
Wow.
we have our Billy Graham bobblehead here, which sits at the church.
He's
We have
seen a lot of bobble. He's bobbled a lot
Yeah,
of miles.
so we have a lot of Billy Graham lovers here at the church. So that's the bobblehead. Anyway,
That's great.
Sorry, Paul. Serious question
my
though.
goodness.
Let you answer now.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. No, and it's appropriate because it's MLK weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was about, I think it had been 1967 because Dr. King was killed in April of 68. So it was about 6 months prior to his assassination. My father was a general assignment reporter. It was before he became a columnist where he could write his opinion. And the then editor of the city editor of the Globe, Jack Thomas, sent him to Logan Airport because Dr. King was to land and give a press conference in the VIP room at Logan International Airport. And back then, my dad was friendly with a lot of the black ministers in the inner city of Roxbury and Dorchester, and they trusted him. He wrote their stories, their successes, and so forth. So he's in the press room with scores of local and national reporters, and one of the ministers said to my dad, "Would you like to join us for dinner with Dr. King?" And my father said, "Absolutely." And it gets even better. The minister said, "Why don't you interview Dr. King in the back of the cab on the way to Roxbury?" Which my dad did, and he was grateful that the ever-present traffic was backed up, so he had more time with Dr. King. But he spent about 45 minutes with him, just one-on-one. And I remember, he didn't talk about it a lot, but I remember one time he told me that he knew instantly, sitting in the back of the cab, within moments, that he was in the presence of a great man.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was about 6 months before King. And Dr. King was only 39 years old when he was killed.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was awful.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then Billy Graham, he came to Boston in 1972, I think it was, and he spoke at the old Boston Arena, which is now on the campus of Northeastern University. And he gave a speech, but prior to, my father was able to have about a 20-minute sit down with him, and he was very, very impressed with Billy Graham right from the beginning. My dad covered the Catholic Church a lot. He went to the Vatican for elevations of popes and stuff. But he wasn't a religion reporter, but a lot of times he ended up covering stuff like that. But I remember how impressed and really taken back he was by Billy Graham. And here's an Irish Catholic guy, a reporter from Boston, and Billy Graham, and they hit it off famously.
well, that was one of the things, because that was still at a period where there was a significant divide between Catholics and Protestants. But one of the things Billy Graham did model is he was one of the first to model Protestants and Catholics kind of coming together, and also he incorporated African American pastors. Not originally, but he was one of the first.
Right.
So that's definitely a lot of great models in his desire to
What
do
a
that. So,
cool experience.
Yeah, that was.
What an amazing.
That was.
Just a few of the many
Yeah,
incredible things he got to do.
He had a great life, and he loved to write about Rockport. I mean, Rockport was people would stop him in the newsroom and say this is back in the early 60s when they moved to Rockport. I wasn't born, I was born in 65, but they would stop him in the newsroom and say, "You really drive an hour every day?" And my father would come up with something non-specific, like, "You should see where I live." But it was, he could always, and he wrote more columns in his head because he wouldn't listen to the radio, from Rockport to Dorchester every day. So.
and what did he? I don't know the answer. What did he actually win the Pulitzer Prize for?
It was a judge, Judge Morrissey, a corrupt judge.
Oh, wow.
In Boston back in I think it was 1966. It was a team of reporters that
uncovered.
Francis X. Morrissey, his name was.
Yeah.
Wow.
They uncovered the.
They uncovered.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is that what Morrissey Boulevard's named after? Is it?
No.
Oh, a different Morrissey. That's a common name. They probably changed the name.
Yeah, probably,
okay, that's fascinating.
It's fascinating.
Yeah. Would if people are interested, I know that on social media you kind of share some of your dad's past articles, and you still love reading them.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So if people are interested, can they Google and find some of the material still around?
A lot of it isn't, because he retired by the time it all went to digital. But
right.
sometimes I have the hard copies that I'll post.
How cool!
That is so cool.
Fun to read it.
I think he wrote like 2,800 columns. He used to write 3 times a week.
Yeah. When you read those, do you hear his voice in your head?
Yeah, it's really incredible.
How special.
That's so cool.
He used to tell a funny story about being in a VFW in Everett, and a guy comes up to him and says, "Hey, you write for the Globe?" This is during busing, so you never knew what was going to happen. And my father goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "What do you do?" And my dad says, "I'm a columnist. I write my opinion." "How many times do you times do you write a week?" And he said, 3 times. How many words? 1,500 or whatever it was. The guy looks at my father and goes, "What do you do the rest of the time?" to my father's response, "It's like pitching every day."
That's fascinating, because people ask me the same question, and when I do a sermon, I go for like
a sermon's like a column.
It is. I do 2,500 words for one sermon.
Yeah.
That's usually my goal. So fascinating to think about.
2,500. How long does that take you?
30 minutes usually.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
In fact, there's some similarities writing. And,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what is your dad's name? Jeremiah, right?
Jeremiah Murphy.
Jeremiah Murphy. If people want to look him up. So that's fun. Thanks for sharing about your dad, Paul.
My pleasure.
Now, we don't always agree on everything.
This is very divisive. This part where
and we don't agree on a lot of things, Paul. We love our community, and but one thing that we don't agree on is that you recently attended one of the greatest rivalries in sports, the Ohio State Michigan college football game.
That was unbelievable.
And it is unbelievable. But fortunately, Ohio State won. But unfortunately, while you were there, you wore a Michigan sweatshirt. I understand you were trying to fit in Ann Arbor. I get it. So we don't always agree on everything. And it's
But
been
in fairness, I am going to Columbus. Hopefully next year to see them play in Ohio.
Okay.
you guys should go together. We might need to go together.
We'll hook you up.
Yeah.
We'll hopefully give you a better experience than that cold town up in Michigan, the mistake by the lake, as we call it. So anyway, Paul, more seriously.
I've never heard that.
Oh, I have a lot more I could say. Ann Arbor is, well, I won't say what she is. Anyway, so it's been a pleasure to get to know you, Paul, over my last 17 years here at the church, in the town, and to work alongside with you in a number of different community events. We've mentioned some of them. But, many people view both of the fields we're involved in, religion and politics, as divisive issues. And we certainly can look to people and issues in both of these fields that are divisive. Mm-hmm. But we also see, both in the past and in our contemporary culture, plenty of positive examples in both fields, right? And so with that said, this is a big question. Shayna said there's too many words in my question.
There are.
If it was a newspaper, it'd probably be cut down. But the point is this. Here's the question. Like, in this bipolar world that we're live in, how do you think that we can foster like a greater sense of community and dialogue that brings people together, but still respects differences of opinions, and it doesn't like dilute our differences, but kind of brings them together? Like, what are some like practical ways you think we can do that?
Well, I think community dialogue thrives when we continue to understand rather than agreement, by listening with respect, speaking honestly, and acknowledging real differences in experiences and belief. We can hold meaningful disagreements without losing our shared sense of purpose or responsibilities to one another.
Yeah.
So, and I think sometimes that gets lost.
Absolutely. And I think I've come to appreciate living in a small community, like coming from a big city, that I think a small community helps this problem. It's not perfect at all, but like when you're forced to see your neighbors at 7 a.m. at the dump, like, that's a very different perspective than like a social media post where you can say whatever you want. There's no accountability. Like, it builds some compassion that you're like, we're both here waking up.
Camaraderie, for sure.
We both have trash,
We do.
I remember one, just talking about accountability, but I was on the school committee and we were hiring a superintendent, and I was at St. Joachim's, I was at Mass, and I was going down the bench to go to communion, and a guy taps me as I'm sliding down the bench, taps me on the shoulder, and he says, "Can I talk to you?"
Uh-oh.
And my wife looked at me and said, "He's going to communion." But that's the beauty. I thought to myself, good for him. One, it might have been a little, could have waited, but at least he felt comfortable enough to talk to me. So,
absolutely.
That's amazing.
That's a great story.
All right, Paul, my question's a lot shorter. How does your faith impact your role as a public servant?
Okay. Well, my faith shapes how I serve, not whom I serve. It grounds me in my commitment to integrity, compassion, and the common good, guiding me to listen respectfully to other people's differences and act with fairness. I think my faith calls me to serve all people with, I hope, dignity and care.
I love that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. If you had the opportunity to have lunch or dinner, or maybe you go to Pratty's. I've heard you like to hang out there.
Yeah, I've been there before.
From my sources.
Been there before.
people don't know what Pratties is. That's a whole other issue too. Episode. Episode, which I think Jesus would hang out at Pratties, actually.
Sure.
So
With the common people.
absolutely,
Yes, the fishermen.
So if you and Jesus were hanging out at Pratties, what questions might you ask him?
Well, if I had lunch with Jesus,
Yeah.
I think I'd ask how to love others well in my everyday life, how to lead in my role as a selectman with compassion, how to make wise choices and stay faithful when things get uncertain, because sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
I'd want to hear what truly matters and how to live with courage and heart in a world that often feels so divided, as we just talked about.
Yeah.
And I'd pick up the tab.
Oh, that's classy. That's classy.
I better.
It's not about action, but I'm just saying, works.
Yeah, we gave Pratties some PR. I think
I'm in AA, so
Yeah, well,
I've never been there. I don't know.
I'm just saying, like maybe that was kind of some advertisement. So I think they owe Paul a free lunch or
Yeah,
something.
Get a T-shirt, maybe?
Yeah.
All right, Paul. You've spent most of your life in education and public service, which are noble and important fields.
I've loved every minute of it.
Oh, okay. In what ways do you think the churches can come alongside and support education and local government?
Well, I think churches strengthen our community by supporting education, mentoring youth. They do a great job doing that. Promoting civic engagement and fostering dialogue, and helping all of us work together for the common good.
Yeah.
They all come to intersect together.
Yeah, it's great. So, Paul, you have, as a follow-up to Shayna's question, houses of worship, places of faith, have a different role, right? There's a distinct role for public education, a distinct role for government, but there's also something different that religion does. So, what are some things that maybe you think that faith communities can offer that schools and the government can't offer?
Well, I think schools. I know schools teach knowledge, and government runs services, and I think faith and churches and communities teach heart and hope.
Oh,
Yeah.
So I think there's obviously a clear separation of church and state, but
Yeah.
those are some of the things that I personally see.
Yeah. Hopefully, we're teaching heart and hope. That's a good goal.
that is a
Yeah.
good,
I like-
great goal.
Yeah.
All right, Paul, as a public official, you are likely accustomed to criticism, right?
Once in a while.
Just a little. Often people and religious groups approach you when there's a problem or when they want something. So how can we in our churches better encourage public officials in their challenging roles and responsibilities?
Well, churches can lift public officials through prayer and moral
Yes.
engagement,
Yep.
encouragement, and community supports, reminding them that leadership is service, integrity matters, and they are not alone in the work of building the common good for people that reside here in Rockport.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think just to remind, people don't always remember that public officials are people too.
Right.
Yeah. And we can disagree, but just still love and care for you.
Well, and also I think that with the 24-hour news cycle, it's constant. The way that the tone is these last couple, maybe the last decade or so, people don't realize that we're all, I can only speak for the Board of Selectmen, we're volunteers.
Right.
No one gets paid, but we sign up for it. And I take the criticism I have to take it, but I know what I'm doing. But yeah, sometimes it can get a little disheartening. But very, very few people. The great majority of the people are very appreciative with the service that we provide and the volunteerism and so forth. So, but there are a few people. Nothing's 100% in this life.
Some people just give you the stink eye at the dump, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the dump stinks, especially in the summer. So what are maybe some questions, things that you sense people today wrestling with? Spiritual, theological, philosophical, sort of those deeper questions, sort of as you read the culture around us, that maybe you think churches can help people wrestle with?
Well, I think our town would be asking churches to guide with integrity and foster connections, support our leaders and neighbors, and help us, again, act with compassion, be civil, and provide hope. I mean, I think all churches and denominations provide hope.
Great.
What gives you hope and motivates you to continue serving in the community?
What gives me hope and motivates me to continue to serve as a chairman of the Board of Selectmen is the spirit of Rockport itself. I see it in neighbors helping neighbors, volunteers dedicating their time and energy, and the way our community comes together through challenging times and celebrations alike for the common good of the town of Rockport. Its generosity, its resilience that we have, and the care for one another reminds me of why public service matters and inspires me to keep working for a town that we all love.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Paul, a question just came to my mind. It's not a gotcha question, but we talked before on the I think on the first episode about how Rockport has town meeting, which is a distinct New England feature, and it's very similar to the TV show. In the TV show, Gilmore Girls, which some people love.
Which only Matt watched, not me.
Watch episode 1 to find out about that. But town meeting is there's funny aspects to it. There's challenges. Sometimes they go on forever, but it's a distinct New England feature. I actually learned that in college. But with that said, is there, in your experience in these town meetings, is there like one wild event that like sticks out to you as like the most wild, crazy thing you ever have experienced in town meeting?
That you can mention as a public servant.
That's a good point.
Yep. Keep it PG.
Well, Bobby Visnick, who was the former town moderator, I thought did a terrific job interjecting humor.
Yeah,
he did
into the dialogue. Sometimes those meetings go 8-9 hours.
I know.
And I mean, we have the nice chairs, the selectmen, but those chairs and the bleachers, after a while, is painful to sit on. But I thought he did a really good job making. He was very self-deprecating and so forth, and that was kind of fun to do. But
he could have had like a stand-up career.
He really made it.
He still could. That could be his retirement gift.
He should.
He is that good. But town meeting is the purest, in my opinion, of government there is, where every voter has a vote on what happens, because we can't spend money. The Board of Selectmen cannot spend money without the approval of the town meeting, and it is a real New England quirk. Yeah. And if you go way up in Maine and New Hampshire and Vermont, where they have these small town meetings, it's really interesting. I've never been, but my dad used to, when he was a young reporter, have to cover those meetings. And he said it was very unique, and there was only a handful of people, maybe, but they got stuff done, and it was kind of cool, And bigger towns have representative town meetings, like Danvers, where you have to run for it. But I think it loses its flavor when you get on a Saturday. First week in April, you sit there at the annual town meeting. You're going to be there all day.
Why don't they have popcorn?
They do sometimes.
They have
they
food
need
down
concessions.
In the
Yeah.
It's the same people that come year in and year out. I don't know how we can encourage younger people to come. I know it's
go to town meeting right here. You heard it here on the podcast.
It's highly entertaining.
It is.
It's very entertaining.
We should do like a live podcast from town meeting. That would be good.
I don't know if anyone will listen to a 9-hour podcast.
That's true. But Paul, let me tell you my favorite story personally. What happened to me, and Bob Visnick had verified this. One time I did they rotate different clergy giving an invocation at the beginning of the meeting, and this is one of the meetings where I gave it, and so I was sitting at the very front, and I stayed for the meeting, and it was a hot meeting. There were some controversial topics. I think it was alcohol, which has been a controversial topic for a long time in Rockport. But what happened was there was a guy that like ran up and like kind of charged the bench, and I thought he was about to like go up and take out
I do remember
Bob.
That, yeah.
But I came very close to tackling the guy.
You are much larger than Bob.
No,
Like,
not Bob.
you're
I was
taller.
going to tackle Bob. I was
No, I know,
I was
you're
going to tackle the
protecting
guy.
Bob.
I could have taken
Yes.
this guy out.
You had to protect Bob.
I did. So
You are
Bob
much
has always
taller
called
than
me
Bob.
his security guard because I could have flattened the guy, and this is probably 10 years ago, so I was faster. Anyway, that would have made the news. Thankfully, I was ready, and I noticed after that they had more police presence up there. But that could have, imagine if I had tackled the guy at the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah,
That'd have been pretty wild.
That dump would have been awkward for you the rest of this time.
You might have ended up on page 1.
It would have been
above the fold.
It would have sold the podcast.
No.
But yeah. So okay, more seriously, Paul, if you could give counsel to religious leaders, what counsel would you give them?
I guess as a public servant, my counsel to religious leaders would be to continue to foster community, encourage dialogue, and model integrity and compassion. Your guidance, the clergy, shapes not only individuals' lives, but the moral fabric of our town. Support civic engagement, nurture respect and discourse, and help neighbors work together across differences without partisanship. So that I think faith becomes a steady source of hope and common good in Rockport.
Yep. And I think, when you mentioned that example of like communion, meeting that guy, like local church communities, when you go to a congregation and maybe you disagree politically, we have different political opinions in our church, but you get to know the people and you see them on a weekly basis or regular basis. It does help. It kind of goes back to that old school mentality where you could get along with a neighbor and disagree and still love each other and work together. So
And I like to, I don't want to be around people that agree with me all the time.
Yeah.
And I think
you need to be challenged. Yeah.
And I think the best boards of selectmen or select boards are ones that don't agree all the time.
Yeah, that's great.
And there's nothing wrong with a 3-2 vote or a 4-1 vote or so forth. But if it's always 5-0, in my opinion, I think it's because I learned from people that I don't agree with.
Yeah.
I think that's a
absolutely,
important aspect.
and it kind of demonstrates in humility that we don't always have the right answer.
Yeah.
And that sometimes other people may be right.
Well, thank you, Paul. This has been amazing. But I have one final question for you.
What's up?
It is the question we ask every single visitor on our guest. Who are the top 4 or 5 people who have most influenced you in your life?
Okay. Well, Kay and Jerry Murphy, my parents. My late parents taught me the values of service. My mother was on the Board of Selectmen and the school committee.
She was the first woman. Is that true?
She was the third.
Okay, one of the first.
Yeah, but they were all guys when she was on there.
Cool.
They taught me integrity and perseverance. And one of the things that I admired most of my parents, I never once heard a racist or off-color comment from either one of them. Never, not a once. And when I would go over to a friend's house in Rockport, this is in the 70s, and heard language that was not appropriate about minority groups and so forth, I was shocked. I had never heard those words. So I've always, and I try to model that same behavior from my parents. Number 2 would be a former colleague and great friend of all the Murphys, George Ramsden.
Oh,
We
yeah.
all know George. He has inspired me. He was my guidance counselor, and then I taught at Rockport High, and we've remained great friends. He is just a wonderful person and someone that has modeled great behavior and someone who has given countless energy to this town. I can't think of anyone who has done more for school-age children than George Ramsden. In terms of my faith, Father Garibaldi, Ron Garibaldi, he's a priest and spiritual mentor who's helped guide and shaped my moral outlook. Father Garibaldi was the pastor here, the priest here before they merged into Holy Family.
Yep.
And prior to coming to Rockport, he was at St. John's Seminary, where he taught, I think he was second in charge at St. John's Seminary. He's got his doctorate from Notre Dame. You would never know that. He doesn't wear that on his sleeve, but he's exactly, in my opinion, what a priest should be. And I know that scandal that had happened 20 years rocked him to his core, because it was, the great majority of the priests in the archdiocese were good and decent men. I think it was about 5% of them that were got in trouble for awful things. And in terms of politics, former Boston mayor and U.S. Ambassador Ray Flynn. I always admired Ray Flynn as a community leader who modeled great public service. He was a champion of the poor and loved to be out there in the city and neighborhoods amongst the people. He brought Mother Teresa to Boston back in the late 80s, and brought her into the neighborhoods and so forth. And then he went on to Bill Clinton appointed him ambassador to the Holy See. And he's a very good man.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Paul. Some great characters there. Gives us a little insight more into who you are and the influence on your life. So, Paul, thank you so much. This hour has really flown by.
Yeah, I thought we were going to do 2 hours.
Yeah, we'll have to have you back. So many follow-up podcasts we can have on what we said. So thank you so much for your time and the insight that you've shared with us on today's edition of the Wicked Redeemed podcast. We appreciate so much your honesty, your experience, and your insight. I think you've helped us a little bit more to consider the intersection between historic Christian faith and our present culture with, Shana, say it, some New England
flavor. And to all of our listeners, thank you. Thanks for tuning in. Please follow us on all of our social media platforms, share this podcast with others, and write us a positive review. We wish you a great start to 2026 and hope that you will join us for next month's edition of the Wicked Redeemed podcast.
So on behalf of Shana and our team here in Rockport, we want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Wicked Redeemed podcast, where we brought the wicked, but God brought the grace.
Amen.
Until next time.